I got a taste of what my life could really be. Going down in flames of mediocrity. What if nothing beats reality? All I have to do is forget everything I know. Well, hello, adventurers. Welcome to Adventurous Spirits, episode number 37, How to Get Ideas. This is a bit of a shift in the way that I typically do this podcast, and I think it's good to change things up now and then. Sometimes we all could do for a bit of a switch. So what I'm going to do today, and you help me test this out, let me know what you think. What I'm planning to do is, instead of coming up with a theme and playing songs around it, I am drawing the theme out of this one song. And this is a song that I wrote. I finished it in 2018, but honestly, the song began in my heart many years ago. I think probably 2004. Was right about the time that this all began happening in my heart and mind. It's called What Comes Next. And I think it is, it's a thing that, it comes up regularly in my adventurous life. And I trust that the same happens for you, where you suddenly catch a vision and you can see your life being different. In a really meaningful way, in a way that you want to happen. And you're so excited about it, you have so much vision for it, and you just don't know what to do with it. It's like, it's too big to just like say, okay, to-do list, brainstorm. So just in the assumption that that happens, I'm going to be talking about that a little bit today, but that's where this song started for me. It started with a film conference that I attended at the tender age of 24, I think. And I was so envisioned for the whole filmmaking industry. Nuts to bolts, everything from the writing process to the production team to development to final distribution, just the whole process of telling a big screen-worthy story was very inspiring to me. And at the time I was working for a production company, but we hadn't done anything like a film before. And I just had this burden to tell a big story. And I was just like, now what? What do I do with this? I don't have an idea for a script. I don't have, access to all the materials and the resources that you need to make a movie. I have all of this, what do you call it? Feeling of being all dressed up and nowhere to go. Have you ever felt like that before? All charged up, and then it's like, now what? Point me in a direction. I'm like, yeah, but also I have my normal life, my responsibilities. I've got to go back home, and I've got people counting on me for things, and I've got just, ordinary chores and life to do. What do I do with all of this change energy? And so today we're talking about ideas. I know you guys are adventurous people. You are never short on ideas in general. But often we get ourselves into the middle of a thing and you feel a little stuck. Or you're at the beginning of a thing and you have too many ideas. It's like where to go with all of this idea energy. So that's what we're going to talk about today, some suggestions that I have and some examples from my recent experience to get ideas, to hone ideas, and to actually find the idea that you need for this moment in time. So hopefully that sets up what we're doing here today. I'm going to carry on with the next part of this song, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So here we go. I took a step, don't know when I'm doing it, turning in an awkward pirouette. What if that's the best that I will get? A creative outlet. I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't really know what comes next. Hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't really know what comes next. I don't really know what comes next, but here I go. I don't really know. So let's talk about the next step of being all charged up and know where to go. You just start. You pick a thing and you start doing it. I have had many examples of this, and it's exciting. It's cool to take that first step, and then it feels very awkward. I don't know about you, but I don't love not knowing what I'm doing. And especially when you're in a position that you are taking those first steps and people can see. People can see you being uncertain and unwieldy and unbalanced. And especially when you have such a clear vision in your mind of what you're going for, and those first tentative steps are not it. Then you just got to have permission to look awkward while you're starting off. It's like, people say the comparison of babies learning to walk. They fall down all the time and they just keep getting up again. But they also have to just have enough self-awareness to know, I will not always look this awkward. Right now, I am navigating things. I am working on, socks on a slippery floor, or I'm working around a diaper. Like, there are some very practical obstacles happening in this learning to walk experience, as well as people watching and cheering for you, as well as just, the inexperience of it. You're developing those muscles, you're finding your style, the way that you're gonna move. And you got to just kind of have patience for it, patience for the process. But it also is very vulnerable, because you're not a baby. You're not a baby, you're a grown person taking steps into new territory and trying something that you really want to be good at and you're not good at yet. And I can tell you that that is true of every step of the journey. Even as good as we get at one thing, I started off as an artist, as a illustrator, as a graphic designer, and then I moved into writing, and then I moved into music. Like, every step of it has been different and weird to get the hang of. And I got there. I got better at it as I went along and stuck with it. And it helps that you really love what you're doing. But there's just no getting around that initial awkwardness of flinging yourself into some sort of dance that you don't quite know the steps to yet. And also, it's really exciting to see yourself get better at it. Add to that the business sides of all of these things. So the marketing and the learning to put into words and to ask people to pay you to do these things as you're getting a little more fluid at it. All of that can feel very awkward and strange as you're first putting it on. And I think getting first into it, you're like, please don't let this just be another thing to do, like have people sort of look on approvingly and go, that's so nice for you. I'm so glad that you are you're busy. I'm so glad that you're busy. I'm so glad that you're having fun with that. Because what we really want is for this thing that we're taking on to be meaningful to other people besides us. We want them to benefit from it. We want to be seen as someone who's good at that thing. We want to be seen as someone who is an authority, even, and an expert. And we're not yet. We're becoming that, but we're not yet. So shall we carry on to verse 3? Where, what happens in verse 3? That's the only trouble with doing the song this way, is I kind of lose where I am in it. I'm trying to make it a little more fluid and seamless. So you're catching my first awkward attempt at this particular format. So what always happens is you do start to improve. You do start to improve. And people do start hiring you. And you see some success. So let's sing that verse now. I caught a break, and something's finally happening. Mysteriously in this way. What if there's a lead I'm following? I wonder where it's going. I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't really know what comes next. Hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't really know what comes next. I don't really know what comes next, but here I go. I don't really know. So this part of the song follows the part where now you are out there, you're doing your thing, and you're getting mixed results. You have people applauding you, saying, love it, more and more. You have people being negative and disapproving, and you also have complete apathy. Whether because of you or just because of their own interests. And that all starts jumbling together in your creative mind, in your vision of yourself. And it starts to make things a little muddy. Hope is harder to hold on to when you've fallen. It seems safer dreaming smaller to be smarter. How can painful memories teach lessons? Is the risk worth a reward? You see, I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't know what comes next. Hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what comes next, and I can't say I don't care, but here I go. I don't really know. So are you in a place today where you're not sure what comes next? All we know is that it's time for a change. Something needs to shift. So I have a few thoughts on that. that I hope are helpful for you at this particular juncture. I have my own fairly large change to announce. That'll be coming up on October 1st. If you are getting my emails, then you will be privy to that information when it comes out on Sunday. But if you haven't joined my mailing list, I want to invite you to do that now. I'll put it in the show notes, but you can also just go to my website and sign up there, CourtneyMatz.com. So yeah, here's some thoughts on how to get ideas about that change that you are craving and that really needs to happen in your creativity or in some other adventure that you're in the midst of. Oh, hello, Steve. Steve has a comment. I am never sure what comes next, and if I think I do know, it almost always turns out to be something different. Wow, that's quite a story. That's quite a story. Yeah, and I think that's a helpful point to put out there, because that's part of this uncertainty that we run into. You know, it's like, well, last time I thought I knew what was coming next. I was totally wrong. So why even bother trying to figure it out? And honestly, I don't know if you do need to figure it out, because life is full of surprises, and that's a really good reality to grapple with and come to peace with. But also, I think we need to have some kind of a vision for ourselves. What are we trying to make happen in this particular situation? And I'm talking about specific things. For instance, I will tell you that I had a really fun weekend. This was the first weekend that I began facilitating a mystery game at a pumpkin patch. It's called The Mystery of the Missing Scarecrows. And it was created and designed by my friend Shelby, but he has another gig on the weekends for the next few weeks, so he's not able to facilitate the game himself. So I'm doing it for him. And this last weekend was the first one. It was really fun. Love the pumpkin patch. If you are at all inclined to be near the Redlands, California area in the month of October, I highly recommend you go and experience it. It's a really, really cute, family-friendly carnival, basically. Lots and lots of stuff to do. Lots of great photo ops. So my particular situation was that I am managing this game, but the pumpkin patch is the biggest that it's ever been this year. So they have physically expanded to include more space, which means there's just a lot of territory to cover, and there's a lot of room and a lot of places for people to go. And my particular little path is not very well traveled at this particular moment in time. It's a little bit of a quiet corner. And I was starting to feel a little nervous about this, because I really wanted people to see the game and I wanted them to come and play it. And there were a few, I would engage people as they were walking by and ask them if they wanted to help solve a mystery. And that sometimes seemed to just turn people off. And they're like, nope, And then other times I would be, walking around doing stuff, and people would just walk up to me and say, I want to play the game, So I was like, so what's the secret here? Do I just act like I don't care and then let people find me? I don't think that's really the case. So I'm going to walk you through three things that I stepped through to figure out the idea that I needed to make the change in this very specific instance. Again, this is hopefully metaphoric for whatever else is going on in your life that you could use some changes in. So number one, I just leaned into it and I accepted my fear. I think it's really easy to avoid taking action in areas where we really need to see change because we're scared that we'll be unsuccessful. And we have a lot of reasons to feel that way. I sure do anyway. Plenty of times where my efforts did not work out the way that I hoped. And so it takes some courage to get up and try again. I recognized that I was nervous, that I wasn't going to be good at leading this game, that I was going to fail my own self and my friend who had brought me on to facilitate the game. And, there's a lot of freedom in recognizing that and just calling it what it is, saying, okay, so I'm scared of this. big deal. I've been scared lots of times in the past. I've done lots of things that I'm really, really, really afraid of. So we've figured that out. Now what? The second thing I did was to visualize the change that I really wanted to see. And I think it's really easy, especially when you're stepping into a new role, to compare yourself to other people. So to say that Shelby is like a very charismatic, charming, entertainment guy. I mean, he just is. That's how he presents, even when he's not in character. And so I could just see him doing really well at this event if he was all dressed up in his cowboy outfit and doing tricks for people. And, people would just come flocking in, because he's so cool and they want to be around him and they want to play his game. And so I was realizing I'm feeling pressure to be like Shelby, but I'm just not like Shelby. I'm like me. I'm really fun. I'm really cool, but it's not necessarily the first thing that you notice about me. Especially when I'm just hanging out and being myself in front of you. Put a piano in front of me, that changes the game significantly, but I did not have a piano. I'm outside in a pumpkin patch. I have this game and I have my cute overalls and my cowboy hat and my smile. So I'm like, what can I do with the things that I do have? And I realized the change that I wanted to see was I just wanted to draw people in. I wanted them to be curious. I didn't have to go out and, beat the bushes and drag people over to me. I just needed them to get close enough to see that something interesting was happening and then to come closer. And then to find out, are you a puzzle game person or not? If you're not a puzzle game person, that answers that question. If you are, then come closer. I have a mystery for you. I have a fun thing for you to figure out. Once I knew those two things, that started to give me ideas that would go along with what I really needed to see, which was, what do I do? What do I do really well? I play music. I tell stories. I'm good at listening to people. I'm good to just hang out with. I'm a very calming presence, I've heard a lot. So this was starting to get me closer, to, okay, what can I do to help bring people in? And then I realized I'm also really good at drawing. And so the idea of coloring pages came to me. Wouldn't it be fun to move my table around a little bit and make some space for coloring? So I ran by Target before I headed out to Redlands on Sunday, and I picked up a box of crayons, which was fun for me anyway. Who doesn't need more crayons in their life? And then as soon as I got set up for the day, I just started drawing pictures. And I drew big outlined pictures that are just begging you to fill them in with color. And it worked. I started drawing people in, and it gave the little kids something to do while the older kids went and played the game. It made people curious, and it just added a little something special to what was happening there, because I needed like a step in between. Now, I'm not saying that it was a wildly successful booth because of that, but I felt like I was contributing in a way that made sense for me. And I was making the day better for myself and for everyone else with this talent that I have, which is not insignificant. It's a big deal. I'm a really good drawer. People have paid me to draw for them before. But you forget all the things that you're good at sometimes when you need an answer. You need an idea that moves things forward. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? Steve, do you know what I mean? Steve says, honestly, I wish people would stop me as I'm walking by and ask if I want to solve a mystery, but perhaps I'm in the minority. Yeah, Steve, you would absolutely be my target audience at something like this. And you see the difference. Some people really do want to be stopped and asked if they're ready to solve a mystery. But not everyone does, and that's really okay. I just got tired of asking the question. So I was like, I will ask people, but I need them to come a little closer to me. And I need them to make eye contact with me. so that I don't feel like I'm barging into their thoughts. So a lot of times it's like whole families, walking by, and I'm like, hey, listen to me, pay attention to me. And it feels very intrusive. So if it was just you walking along by yourself, I'd be like, hey, want to solve a mystery? So all that to say, I believe those three takeaways are helpful for any area where you're feeling stuck, where you just need an idea to jump the track, change the narrative, shift into a new way of being, and to help you have some new opportunities. So I hope you will give those a try in whatever areas of your own life you're finding the need for a change and some new ideas. So I'm going to play this song for you one more time all the way through without interrupting. And if you would like to hear it fully recorded without all of my little mistakes and blips and commentary, you can come become a $10 a month supporter on patreon.com/CourtneyMatz, where that's all the good stuff, all of the ongoing support for what I do as an artist and as a person who explores the depths of these kinds of ideas. That's where I can find the support to keep doing that, and where you can get a little inside peek into the process. So here we go. Here's the song, What Comes Next. I got a taste of what my life could really be. Going down in flames of mediocrity. What if nothing beats reality? All I have to do is forget everything I know. I took a step, don't know what I'm doing yet. Turning in an awkward pirouette. What if that's the best that I will get? A creative outlet. I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't really know what comes next. Hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't really know what comes next. I don't really know what comes next, but here I go. I don't really know. I caught a break, and something's finally happening. Mysteriously in this way. What if there's a lead I'm following? I wonder where it's going. I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't really know what comes next. I'm hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't really know what comes next. I don't really know what comes next, but here I go. Don't really know. Hope is harder to hold on to when you've fallen. It feels safer to be smarter, dreaming smaller. How can painful memories teach lessons? Is the risk worth the reward? You see, I'm doing this dance with my heart in my hands, and I don't know what comes next. Hopeful and excited, but a little overwhelmed, because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what comes next, and I can't say I don't care, but here I go. I don't really know. I don't need to know. Thanks, everybody. Let me know what you think of this new format. Have fun out there, and I'll see you next week.